wrestling fans, and welcome to The Hill is Always Greener, a show where us four jabronis have chill discussions about Sonic the Hedgehog to distract ourselves from, well, everything that isn't wrestling! I'm Game Buddy, your announcer today.
I'm Falero, I'm also here.
Hey there, brother, this is Rock the Jake.
By God, that's Cyberlink's music!
I'm amazed that the guys that aren't wrestling fans successfully did good references to reference wrestling, and I was just there.
Hey, I've learned a few things from cultural osmosis.
I've watched quite a few WWE pay-per-views with friends.
Yeah, but I'm talking about wrestling.
Mine is all absorbed from being an avid listener of Giant Bomb for decades now.
Look, I can sit here in the background and just go, diggity dog. And
Oh my god. I knew that. Oh, man.
Well, I guess we should clarify what brings this about.
Yeah, this isn't actually a wrestling podcast, by the way, everyone.
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything does become one eventually.
We are dipping our toes into it by focusing on a subject that is near and dear to my heart, kind of, sort of. It's the Sonic X comic books. Full disclosure, we are counting down the days until that new Discotheque subtitle box set comes out, which will be out by this point, so you should go buy it, Sonic fans.
For real.
But we thought on our recording schedule we would lead up to talking about the show proper eventually with some look at the Sonic X comics, which was a really fun little side series that Archie did back in the day. That introduced that took place in the Sonic X show universe, and had all of your favorite characters like Chris's maid Ella and Bokkun, and also introduced some characters of their own, like a mysterious luchador themed wrestler named El Gran Gordo, who is going to be our focus today through issues 26 and 27, and then we hop forward just a little bit to 31 and 32, which was all of the appearances by El Gran Gordo. But yeah, Sonic X comics specifically. Gentlemen, your thoughts, your opinions, your hopes and fears.
If there is one thing people take away from the Sonic X comic, it is El Gran Gordo and these issues.
Yes.
Like 100%.
I also like the one issue where the shadow organization made up of villains from Sonic X in the comics creates all the multicolored clones of Sonic, and I love when people post that cover every Pride Month. It's one of my favorite bits.
Yes, the SONICX organization.
Yes.
Isn't that also the one where they make a clone in the end of, like, classic Sonic and he has to fight him?
Yes. A Sonic Generations before Sonic Generations that Sonic has to murder by the end of that one.
All right.
You know, in a funny cartoon way.
Yeah.
That's
cool.
no good.
This was my first time reading any of the Sonic X comics, and the first thing that really struck me was just how pretty faithful they were to, like, getting the TV show's art style down. I mean, like, Sonic pretty much looks like Sonic in almost any medium, but almost, not every. But it was interesting to, like, see, like, kind of like the darker shades of blue on him that the anime kind of adapted, and it's like it's still, the comic is still its own thing, but that was the first thing that really struck me, like the faithfulness to the look.
I mean, I'd argue it's less faithful than it used to be, but that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can tell I'd be lying if the maybe the beginnings of the Sonic X comic weren't a little rough. Like, I'm sure if you're an online Sonic fan, you have seen the panels of the one artist who I won't even dignify by naming, who was just tracing screenshots from the show, and somehow that made it through the editors. But hey, they were not asked back. But no, you can tell even when, like, Archie mainstay artists, like some of the ones we're going to be looking at today, like James Fry and Stephen Butler, Tracy Yardley, even Patrick Spaziente on covers, like, they are obviously following the quote-unquote style guide for Sonic X. X. Like, you will see, like, almost any time Sonic is smiling, it's the refined version of the Sonic Adventure smile that showed up in X a lot. And yeah, the colors and just a lot of character proportions, and of course, like, how all of the human characters look. And it's just, like, going back with these with, like, knowing all of the baggage that Archie main series had is very nice that Sonic X was just a fun month-to-month, like, jokey joke book. I would not say it's as comedy or silly focused as, like, the English dub of Sonic X, but also there's a couple of things, like, I think that Irish cop shows up in the comic book as well, which is pretty funny. But it splits the difference by being, like, obviously a low-key, like, book to tell extra stories that kind of fit within the Sonic X continuity, but also, like, genuinely pretty funny, and does not feel like it is talking down to its audience. And these issues are great. I think, like you said, if you're going to start anywhere with the Sonic X comics, like, these are good ones to start with, and then you can expand outwards from there.
Definitely. This was definitely a good place to start, because it really just felt, it had that Saturday morning cartoon energy to it, of just like, here's a wacky situation, but with, like, pretty good writing and, like, some not super deep, but, like, deep enough character thought of, like, this is why I like being El Gran Gordo.
Yes. Yeah, everyone feels in character, if that makes sense. And treating Sonic X as, like, a totally separate continuity from Archie proper.
It is interesting how long this comic ultimately ended up running, because it started in September of 2005, by which point, like, new episodes of the anime, like, were actually starting to run out, or it had finished up in America for at least the first 52, and then we would get the Metarex the year after that. But by the time we get to the issue we're covering today, the show was already over, and it was still going.
Yeah, I think people, especially maybe people closer to our age, like, kind of maybe forget that Sonic X had a real long tail. Like,
yeah,
opinions on English dub aside, like, that thing has stayed on streaming constantly, and just, like, new generations of, like, little kids, like, you just put on Sonic X for them. And, you know, thankfully that has led to it getting a proper, like, re-release by Discotek, the English dub, and now the subtitled version. So I'm grateful for that. But yes, that is why the Sonic X comic, which came out, was it late-ish 2005, after the show was done the first time, before we would get new episodes, and then lasted all the way until 2009 and led directly into Archie's other side series, Sonic Universe. And what was it, 39 issues total? Did it make it to 40?
It made it to 40.
Yeah, sure did. Which is, that's quite a long time for a not only a spin-off, but specifically based on a TV show. Like, as much as we also, someday we'll talk about those, the Sonic Boom comics didn't get to last that long.
Yeah, but can you imagine a Sonic comic based on a TV show and adapting its world lasting, for 20-something years? That's just impossible to even fathom, am I right?
Yeah, they would have to go down some really crazy things and totally abandon the source material eventually.
Oh, wait, I know what you're talking about.
I just had a quick check. 32 issues of Knuckles the Echidna, just in case you were wondering.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, good.
Okay.
They got outlasted by an actually good comic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, then he switched back over to the main series and infected his family drama throughout the backstories of that for years after. But, as we are frequently say on the show now, is for another day.
One thing about the Sonic X comic, was it, like, a common thing to have, like, one comic, like, that was like a franchise having a comic that was telling its own story, also have a side comic come out that was adapting the new hotness, the new continuity? Because I feel like you would see that in some things. Like, you've got the main one, and then you've got, like, I don't know, Transformers New and Tasty or whatever was coming out at the time.
Yeah, no, like, that is literally what happened for a lot of Transformers shows, is they would have, their main comic, and then they would do, like, either a mini series or an ongoing to tie in with whatever was on TV at the time. Like, Or even if it wasn't that, it might have been, something like what happened with Dreamwave and their Armada comic, where it was like, yeah, we've got the main G1 series, but then we've also got the Armada comic that is not really tying in with the show, just doing its own thing, but it's still promoting the current line, so it still counts.
That's interesting, because, you've got two different continuities going on in Sonic comics, but I guess there are going to be kids who are just like, well, there's that Sonic one, but there's also the Sonic that I've seen on TV, and that's the one I want, I guess.
As seen on TV!
I was trying to think of an example in my limited experience with the Big Cape comics, because that usually happens in reverse, whereas they will start a side comic and then that gets adapted into like a cartoon, like your Ultimate Spider-Mans or whatnot.
Yeah, but every once in a while it would be the other way around, where it's like, you have obviously the main DC universe, but then you'll have like an ongoing based on like Batman the Animated Series or something.
Yeah, or Batman Beyond, or, I mean, even recently, I feel like they expanded it into, like, a more limited series than just a mini-series, but, like, comics based on, like, Batman 89, like, literally the Michael Keaton movies and whatnot. And I guess that's just so much more well understood than, like, 25 years ago of an alternate universe. Like, the biggest movies in the world have alternate universes or multiverses now. And so, yeah, I mean, I was not a child when these comics were coming out. I was an older teenager, and so, like, fully understood the different Sonics by that point. But yeah, I don't think it's that uncommon.
And then we know that it's okay to have this other comic happening, which is with a really funny, silly thing that they do with a character. And I like that. Because it's funny, we were just spent our last episode talking about Dr. Eggman, and I'm sure that has nothing to do with this, but just for example, say, we have, one version of that character, and then we have a different version of that character that maybe might be a little softer and have a more complicated, I don't know, a different perspective on things.
Yeah, a more complicated relationship with his role as the evil villain.
Mm-hmm. But I guess we're going to get into that.
Yes, so I think, are we ready to jump right in?
Let's do this.
I have been ready for a very long time.
So first up, we have issue 26 of Sonic X. And now I'm making it to a point whenever we reread these comics to make sure whether I am digging out my physical versions or digital versions that I have the full scans with all of the ads and notes and fan art and everything, just in case that is worth talking about.
Yes.
Got a great cover by Patrick Spaziente here with, I mean, it's like, sorry for the audio format. You got to go look this one up. It's it's really good, introducing us to the El Gran Gordo character, which he sure looks familiar, doesn't he, folks? But
I don't know what you're talking about.
Notice
I'm Chris Thorndike. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Exactly. Oh, I love Chris in these. He is the wrestling lingo, what is the positive word for a mark? Like, is there one? Is he being a mark, or is he is filled with childlike wonder and is totally buying into it? Okay.
But Chris is a huge mark in this one.
He is. I am giving the benefit of the doubt to this. He is a child.
It's fine, he's a kid, so it's fine. But it's it's okay for him to be taken in by this.
Yeah.
You can use mark affectionate in brackets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Given the internet's opinion on Chris Thorndike as a whole, I think it's okay just to call him a dirty mark.
I mean, it would also kind of be in line with how we have portrayed him over the years.
Yeah. That is what lights up his life, is fully throwing himself into the semi-fictional worlds of entertainment. On the inside cover, an ad for Viva Pinata Party Animals on Xbox Live, baby.
It was real bad.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, no, that was the party game spin-off that Rare did not make. Let us never speak of it again.
But we do have the first story we are going to be talking about is titled La Layenda del Gran Gordo, The Legend of the Great Big Guy, which was written by Ian Flynn, cover by Patrick Speziente, as we've said, pencils by James Fry, inks by Terry Austin, letters by Phil Felix, and colors by Josh Ray. And I thought it was interesting that aside from the cover and the writer, like a lot of different credit, almost like completely different credits for each of these 4 issues.
Yeah, there's a little bit of variance between each one, just little subtle ways.
I think this might appear on almost every issue of Sonic X, but you do get a little editorial box at the top that says, Sonic the Hedgehog and friends were sent to Earth by one of Dr. Eggman's machines. Sonic and his friends have made a home and a name for themselves on Earth. Dr. Eggman has been trying to conquer this new world until now.
It's kind of funny they were doing something similar for a while in the Archie comics themselves, where they had to be like, in this wacky new world set that is separate from the world of the games. They have to actually say that.
They did, yes.
Because they got so far away from what the games were.
Yeah, and I guess that makes sense at this point because, again, there had not been, new Sonic X episodes for a hot minute by the time this issue came out.
Yeah.
Just to give new readers and also like new comic fans like, hey, that's the plot of the show.
This issue cover dated November 7th, 2007 for the record.
Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you.
So after that editorial, we begin the comic with both Chris and his grandpa watching the TV, and we see the muscular, the mean, the not-so-lean figure of El Gran Gordo on screen, and them cheering him on while Sonic's abnormally long tongue is out.
Yeah, he's expressing his disapproval by sticking his tongue out about, well, yes, didn't know.
After that, we have probably like, the very general discussion between a wrestling fan and a non-wrestling fan saying, do you know it's all fake, right? And then Chris proceeds to bite off Sonic's head about it.
Yeah, no, total mark.
But what makes this especially good is that Sonic's wrong here. In this world, apparently, the pro wrestling is 100% legitimate.
Yeah, that is funny. I feel like that happens in a lot of like cartoons and media that adapts pro wrestling, where like, oh no, it turns out it is real. Like it's not written or predetermined, like from what I understand.
Well, that's kind of what's funny about it, because obviously both fictional worlds, like the fictional world of television and the fictional world of pro wrestling, but also so they can usually have that thing where the main character's like, oh, pro wrestling, that's all fake. And then he gets in the ring and it gets destroyed because it's real, actually. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Whoa. I mean, it could be that all of Gordo's opponents think that, like, the whole thing's set up the way it should be, like, they've got their scripts they're following and whatever, and then he's just like, No, this is how it's actually. You just worked yourself into a shoe, brother.
That doesn't work for me, brother. The old classic Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, I like how we see, El Gran Gordo taking down Wooly right here.
Oh my gosh.
What I was going to ask, is this wrestler based on anybody? And all I could think of was it does look like
it is
Wooly after he got super jacked. God bless you, Wooly. Sonic just continuing to be a real. Hey, am I using it correctly? He's being a real jabroni, like pushing back against Chris and just not letting anyone have fun.
Well, the term jabroni usually is another word for like jobber or something. Someone
gotcha.
You can use that. Like for a while, it became like popularized by The Rock for a while because he brought back this old-fashioned term, and when he's calling everyone a jabroni, everyone he didn't like. So you know what? I'm sure there was a time when all pro wrestling fans were calling each other jabronis.
Sonic does become a jabroni later in the story.
That's true.
It's true.
That's true. Chris, attempting to, chokehold Sonic is interrupted by Chuck being like, okay, break it up. I got you a couple of tickets to the show, so let's see this for real.
I just love that Sonic's like insisting that, but look, he's out of shape. He shouldn't be able to be a wrestler. I'm like, obviously, Sonic, you haven't watched some of the finest wrestlers of our time, like Big Van Vader and Kevin Owens and all the other portly gentlemen who make great professional wrestlers and athletes.
Oh yes.
I also have to point out that it was Chris's father who got them tickets to the match. And maybe if Chris's parents were more present in his life, they might be concerned about some of the actions he's copying from the media he's watching.
Obviously, whatever the wrestling league that this is, they don't have those little cautionary ads telling you not to try it at home, which I always love those.
They don't show it, but I would imagine they're doing some irresponsible, like, unguarded chair hits in this league.
Oh, they're absolutely, like, hitting each other over the head with a steel chair. This was to the days of them, like, caring about, like, CTE and stuff like that, so...
Hopefully in both Sonic and this world, they probably just have a video that plays every time before a match of Nacho Libre going,
"It is in the Bible not to wrestle your neighbor."
As Chris is bragging about, there's only 2 tickets, Sonic. You won't get to see how awesome El Gran Gordo is in person. And then the Sonic got an idea. An awful idea.
There's those teeth, those Sonic X smile teeth. So, we'll just see about that, Chris. Cut to the red carpet leading to El Gran Gordo's lavish trailer.
As he is flanked by 2 promoters that are definitely not Deco and Boko disguised as Don King and Mickey from Rocky.
No, absolutely
That's
not.
who it was, yeah.
Sorry, just saw someone in the crowd is just holding a sign that says "You're fat" in bubble letters,
Yeah.
which and also you smell funny.
I just noticed that too.
Yes, those are some haters in the back because all the other signs are very positive. We love Gran Gordo.
About the level of sophistication you expect from wrestling fan signs.
Yeah.
No, not really. I was going to say, if it was a proper, wrestling fan sign, it'd be something like Fire Emblem is better than Persona 5.
I'm sorry, of the modern day, certainly. During this time period, though, yeah.
Can we go back to the golden age where someone holding a sign at a wrestling event saying Waluigi rules was like peak and we didn't progress farther than that?
I'm still waiting for somebody to hold up a sign that says, "Little Karibo, please bring back the Mark Remark."
God, just looking at... Sorry, when we're on the subject of wrestling signs, it always reminds me of that, like, Wrestling Secrets Revealed, like, the Secrets of Magicians Revealed, but for pro wrestling. And it was narrated by Salem from Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Oh my gosh.
Condescendingly talking about pro
I forgot
wrestling.
about that.
Every wrestling match is filled with explosive action. The violence looks real because the man in the ring employs secret tricks to make it look a lot more dangerous than it really is.
And this is this blatantly untrue part where the fans come in and they're given a bunch of signs to hold up. And he's like,
You didn't think they really brought all those signs from home, did you?
anyway, that's funny. Search, don't worry, she's a stunt granny, if you want to see some really good from that.
Come on, man. Like, we get it. As much as I wish Stone Cold Steve Austin had beaten Vince McMahon to death with a bedpan, we know it's not. Come on.
But it sure feels good to watch.
Yeah, it does. I
It
love
really
that clip.
does.
I mean, I watch that clip sometimes, especially now because I'm like, haha, he got hit for real. What a jackass.
But as El Gran Gordo is going down the red carpet being flanked by fans and finally getting shoved into his trailer, we have a moment where I'm just now realizing that Boko is pulling the mask off of Eggman instead of punching him, because I thought the first time I thought he was punching him.
Yeah.
And I made a note of like,
It
whoa.
does look rather violent.
Yeah. I even made a note of like, whoa, it's weird to see a minion of Eggman slap him back. But no, he's pulling the mask off. Eggman insists that he's not getting too carried away, while Deco is trying to remind him that all the funds he's getting from being a wrestler are to financially gain him into a bigger, better Sonic stomping robot.
Yes. I love the running gag in the comics that Eggman does not understand the concept of paper currency in Sonic X's version of the United States. So yes, they refer to it as green slips of paper instead of the infinite resources that they have back home on Sonic's world.
I love also that on this page, near the bottom of it, we have Bokkun underneath the bed looking like my sleep paralysis demon.
Yeah, there was another thing that the Sonic X comics introduced was Bokkun's addiction to sugary foods. I don't think that was ever in the show. Bokkun just
I
kind
don't
of
think so.
showed up whenever they needed him in the show, huh? Gave him a little extra character depth as a insane robot child addicted to candy and sweets. Oh boy, let me tell you, the ads in this for video games of the time, like MLB Power Pros for the Wii by 2K Sports and Konami, and the Ben 10 live-action Cartoon Network movie Race Against Time.
Very much of a period. Yeah, I have to imagine that, El Gran Gordo's making a pretty penny just based on the licensing rights alone. Like, I saw a bunch of folks wearing, T-shirts with his face on it in that previous page, so there's got to be a little bit there.
Well, it all depends on the company, really, doesn't it? Because
That's true.
There's a good chance that, if he's running through, like, a Stanford-based organization, they'd be making a lot of that money themselves. At the end of the day, though, T-shirt sales are a big deal in professional wrestling, for real. That's why John Cena was coming out with a different colored shirt every other week.
I don't want to think about the logistics of that for Dr. Eggman as a literal alien to this society when the time comes around to pay his taxes. Maybe if they didn't go back to Sonic's world, that's what would have finally brought down Dr. Eggman.
It's just going to get caponed. As we discover, Eggman is winning all of his matches because his cape sequins are actually nanomachines, son. And they've been fastening themselves to his opponents and using a giant super magnet beneath the ring to pull them down to be pinned. Which, as evil schemes go, it works.
Relatively harmless, as we are getting to with this, realizing that Eggman, this is kind of just something he is want to do and not just to acquire resources to build the Eggman empire.
I mean, that's kind of like, we talked about this a little bit during our last episode, but that's one kind of the defining traits of Eggman is that he is and always has been a showman. If he's going to do something, he is going to do it in the most grandiose fashion possible.
Especially at this part in Sonic X, which I think it plays pretty fast and loose with the continuity as far as all of these take place just before the ending of the first series, quote unquote, where they go back to Sonic's world.
It's basically like everything happens, in between episodes of the first season until it stops being like that.
Yeah, exactly. Although this is where Bokkun reveals himself from out from under this chair, literally swimming in sugary cotton candy.
There's a panel here on this page where he's looking almost directly into the camera after. So Boko says, "You really need to lay off the sweets, Bokkun. That much sugar will warp your brain." And then he says, "Re-he-he-he-heely," which reminds me incredibly of Jim Carrey from Ace Ventura.
It's hard not to imagine that's not what they're going for, or at least the way a child that is either really sleepy or on a sugar high just is slurring their speech like a drunk man.
Yeah, no, he has gone full Cheshire Cat in this panel here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the art really shines on Bokkun.
Oh, yes. Bokkun woke up this morning and chose sugary violence.
Did we ever take time to discuss, Bokkun and Deco and Boku? Because anyone watching our Bridge series that this channel was made for, essentially, not that you might forget about that these days, but, what these guys actually are, because I think we briefly mentioned them in our Eggman episode, but they are basically the scratch grounder and coconuts of of Sonic X itself and the comics.
Yeah, they sure are. Like Bokkun, which is something I probably should have done, actually researched before this. I think gets referred to a lot as the messenger robo, and then as Bokkun is kind of shorthand. Deco and Boko are literally Eggman's sidekicks. They're with him in his cockpit and all of his various flying fortresses. They are the scratch and grounder or Cubot and Orbot of Sonic X. But yeah, Bokkun is literally the little messenger robot that brings Eggman's challenges to Sonic and friends for the first dozen episodes or so of Sonic X, and then just kind of settles into being a silly little gag every once in a while because his messenger TVs tend to explode after you're done watching them.
He's a funny little anime character, because this design, I'm not even sure what's going on with his design. He's almost got like little devil horns, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost like it kind of looks like a Felix the Cat. Like we pointed out that Deco and Boko are literally just from some other anime. I wonder if Bokkun is also not like supposed to be designed off of like something else, that the reference is just lost on me.
If he is, I have not been able to track down what that reference is, but I wouldn't put it past it, considering Eggman literally pilots the Mazinger Z at one point.
Yeah.
I like his Mermaid Man belt. I hope he doesn't turn it to Wumbo.
Eggman is being like, I know the plan, I remember the plan, but secretly I think he's really getting off on the attention. Like he likes being El Gran Gordo. He's actually like super into it, even beyond the evil schemes.
He is, as they say, living the gimmick. And
he is believing his own hype, as Deco says.
Yeah, that's a good phrase. I love that. And then there's a knock at the door.
The ad for Avatar: The Burning Earth, the one where you can get 1,000 achievement points in 5 minutes.
Rest in piss, THQ.
But yeah, no, it is Scarlett Garcia here for an interview with El Gran Gordo.
Quite taken by him, apparently, just judging by the flushed cheeks. And you
the
know
cameraman
what?
in the back.
I can see it. Like, look at this guy. Like, look at the sexual energy coming from this man.
Yeah, we get a couple pages back. He's flexing in front of the mirror, and like he's got some pretty big biceps. Like, you know, and we will see in later stories. Like, he's not all hot air.
Yeah.
No, like, I don't know. It's the confidence, isn't it? Like, even if he's wearing a mask, there's a lot going for him.
As far as Eggman's physical strength go, you could ask Dr. Starline and Serge the Tendrick what happens when he gets a hold of you and you're a 3-foot-tall furry character.
It's true.
I've just noticed this, by the way. I've just noticed that when he pulls the mask down, his moustache sort of comes down in the Fu Manchu, a bit like Hulk Hogan.
It sure does, doesn't it?
That's all part of the disguise, right?
It is.
Yes.
If the moustache came up, then everyone will be like, oh, it's Eggman. But when it's down, might as well be another guy.
I absolutely love that when Scarlett Garcia is here to get his opinion on his latest challenger, that the next page is just a full page illustration of, I don't even know, what do you call this? Like, you know, like old boxing posters. I know wrestling has done it, but just a full uninterrupted page. I'm going to print this out and put it on my wall.
Yeah.
Like a playbill sort of thing. Yeah, that kind of.
Yes, playbill of announcing the worldwide hero Sonic the Hedgehog versus the overnight superstar El Gran Gordo charity fight. One night only in Station Square. Presented by Thorndike Industries.
So after that full page playbill spread, we have Chris extremely excited to see, quote unquote, my two biggest idols in the world getting ready to go one-on-one. And Sonic, as he does, especially in Sonic X, is just taking it easy, not really thinking much of it. And then we get Knuckles. And Knuckles.
Knock, knock.
Knock, knock. And then over the next page after that, we get a motif that kind of appears in the next few issues that we talk about today that I really enjoy from a narrative perspective, where we have kind of parallel panels going back and forth of characters not only doing the same thing, but even like the same dialogue happening at the same time. Example, the very first two panels of this next page are, "Push it, Hedgehog. Do you want him to walk all over you?" And then Deco says, "This is a disaster. He'll walk all over us." So
it's a parallel training montage with Sonic and El Gran Gordo.
Yes.
I can't believe this! My two biggest idols! The world's greatest heroes! One-on-one!
Don't geek out too much, Chris. I really don't think it'll last too long.
It won't with a lazy attitude like that! I've seen this Gordo guy in action. He's tough. If you want to stand a prayer of a chance, you need to get in shape. And I'm just the guy to train you.
Oh, for the love of...
Push it, Hedgehog! Do you want him to walk all over you? This is a disaster! He'll walk all over us! Work it, Hedgehog! Or do you want this to be over in one round?
We're doomed. It'll be over in one round.
Pick up the pace, Hedgehog! The big fight is tomorrow night!
It's all over for us. The big fight is tomorrow night.
Good job, Sonic. I think you stand a chance now.
If you're quite finished, find out where Bokkun is with dinner.
Oh, Station Square, you look so shiny and pretty, like candy. You're going to be all mine.
I just love that Knuckles invited himself for this bit.
Yes, he just bursts onto the scene with a megaphone, just in the middle of Chris's living room.
I feel like of anybody in like the core Sonic cast, I feel that Knuckles is probably the biggest wrestling fan, and he probably believes that all of it is 100% real.
Almost so.
Yeah.
Knuckles has like the warrior male perspective on wrestling of just beautiful muscular illustration of machismo and love.
Although I think it's interesting that after just one day of training, Knuckles says, "Good job, Sonic. I think you stand a chance now." I guess he really only needed just the one day of training.
So the next night, it's the big match, and we've got Chuck and Chris decked out in El Gran Gordo merch, including some stylish El Gran Gordo shoes on Chuck there.
Yeah, some penny loafers with his mask and mustache.
All right, quick question. Do we think that Chuck actually buys into this stuff, or is he just doing this to connect with his grandson?
Probably a little column A, column B.
Right.
I always like that Chuck is, I mean, on the sad end, Chuck is the parent that Chris always needed. that yes, takes him on adventures and treats him like an actual child and not and you know, does not abandon him for long periods of time. I think Chuck's probably pretty bought into it. You know, like there isn't a panel. He doesn't explicitly say it, but you know, when Sonic is like, "Oh, it's fake," like, you know, Sonic's lucky Chuck didn't take him aside. Like, look, Sonic, don't take this away from him.
I feel like
and another thing about Santa Claus.
I'll start building a sled.
Hey, that's an issue we're not talking about today.
Oh, wait, you're right.
Yeah, no, everybody's getting into it. Bokkun's, you know, hanging out at the snack bar, stuffing his face.
Yeah, you know, he just walked up to security, said, I'm Sonic the Hedgehog's trainer.
he said, "Well, he is a talking animal, so okay."
Yeah. They do have special privileges from the President of the United States.
Okay, so what entrance music do you think these guys come out to? That's what I want to know.
I mean, Sonic comes out too, it doesn't matter. We know this.
Yes. So probably the Adventure 2 version, yeah. It'd be more in line with this peppy version.
Yeah, you obviously can't do the Eggman theme, so...
No.
Maybe the instrumental version? Would anyone know?
It just gets just a Latino cover of it, you know? Like a Latin style.
Yeah, some mariachi guitar.
I was gonna say, he probably comes out to some sort of like mariachi, but high energy song that has the word like huevos in it or something like that.
Yeah.
But yes, we get the grand introductions to our fighters of the evening, Sonic the Hedgehog and El Gran Gordo. And we also get to see Deco and Boko being sneaky and making sure the super magnet is ready underneath the mat. So without further ado, Sonic just goes straight for it with what may be a lethal buzzsaw spin. Who knows?
It's hard to say. He's not powered up with a ring, so maybe a less than full power Sonic spin here.
But immediately with that move, Sonic's already got those nanomachines on him that will quickly bring him down. And El Gran Gordo goes for it as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, to his dismay, Sonic is able to dodge out of the way, constantly befuddling El Gran Gordo.
I do like this one line from Sonic confirms that Eggman's Spanish pronunciation is pretty bad. And I would think Sonic would know, like living with Ella, like she probably teaches the boys right, like how to properly say all that. But
yeah,
I just love now in retrospect reading Gran Gordo's dialogue, which is like the most Peggy Hill, maybe not totally mangled, but still like Peggy Hill ass pronunciation.
So no lie, reading this, like whenever he was saying Spanish words, I was thinking of your impression, Jeremy, of Eggman also saying Spanish. Olé!
I mean, he's probably doing his best attempt at a Mexican accent. It's probably really offensive.
Well, you have to picture, Sonic X Eggman alone in his base, like reading Wikipedia all day and like just refusing to do any better than that.
Well, it wouldn't be the first case of a pro wrestler putting on a fake ethnicity for the sake of having a gimmick, so... Yeah.
Yes, we're saying it is a lighter tone of the problematic history of professional wrestling as a whole.
Everyone remember Yokozuna, the Japanese sumo who was actually a Samoan man? That's cool.
Oh boy. Etc. etc.
Yes, and so on and so forth, and so many years.
Kofi Kingston.
Oh man, you know about Kofi Kingston. He was Jamaican for a while.
Jafaican.
Sonic gets hit with the sequins and he starts to get pulled down, realizes what's happening, and he's like, nope, and immediately starts shaking the sequins off the cape onto El Gran Gordo himself, so they're both having trouble moving as a result. Which leads to, Deco and Bokkun being like, okay, we need to fix this, but Knuckles comes down and spots them, but immediately the fight starts up again because something has chewed through the power cord.
And I do enjoy an actual physical fight between Eggman and Sonic. you
just don't see that generally.
Yeah.
No, not enough. I'm always going to think of that one time that Eggman just socked him right in the face in Archie that one time, and it was the funniest thing in the world.
Yep. I mean, even right here on the big page with the fight, he gives it's now the Eggman go-to of grab one of these little fur balls by their skinny little noodle legs and slam them into the ground.
I mean, yeah. But you would, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's right there. Of course, Sonic gets the upper hand, not like sends him to the ropes and immediately takes him down. And that's where we get the height of drama.
Yes.
So what Sonic is about to do here is about to like be really disrespectful to the culture of luchadors in Mexico. If this was in Mexico, this would be an automatic disqualification. You're not allowed to take their masks off. That's a big part of their identity. But Sonic is reaching down to pull for El Gran Gordo's mask to reveal that he's actually Eggman under there. But then something happens.
Go, Sonic!
Now to end this farce.
Sonic, wait! Let me stay El Gran Gordo, and our feud is over. Please, let me stay their hero.
Oh, no. No good can come of this.
You mean it? We have a winner! Let's hear it for the gracious Sonic the Hedgehog!
Very classy, Sonic. You could have unmasked him in a total victory.
Yeah, but letting him keep it was a victory in its own way. Besides, what harm could it do?
So the doctor leaves with his dignity. Ha! It doesn't matter at this point, for the Empire is mine now! Yeah!
And we get the saddest face on Chris Thorndike I have ever seen.
Sonic locks eyes with him in the crowd, and the tears just start flowing.
This is right up there with Golden Book's Tales. Just the height of sadness.
This is right up there with when Sonic had to leave Earth in Sonic X itself.
I know opinions on the whole on Chris Thorndike as a character aside, like this child is having his heart broken.
My best friend's defeating my hero.
I do like the line right after that from Sonic. He just says, No good can come of this. That's pretty dire line from Sonic the Hedgehog.
To his credit, though, Eggman is appreciative. He's playing to the crowd, be like, Sonic is the winner, the gracious hero, blah, blah, blah.
Man, I'm just trying to, I'm sure the crowd is into just seeing these guys, but that's such an unsatisfactory finish. I imagine people are going onto Reddit after this, cannot believe they pulled this. With no proper conclusion, no one got over. Disgusted.
But unbeknownst to everybody, watching the mask is Bokkun, who has not just had a taste of a little too much sugar, he's had a taste of the villain's life, and he likes it. I don't even know where he got this fake beard.
Literally twirling a mustache,
Yes.
A mustache.
Yeah, a real mustache goatee combo off a cartoon devil. Okay, I'm specifically thinking of the devil from yes, but also I was going to say the classic Mystery Science Theater, the Santa Claus, where the literal Christian devil is trying to sabotage Santa Claus, bringing presents to the good children in Mexico, I believe.
It almost sounded like you were going to say bringing them depression.
Well, if you've ever seen that movie, it might as well be.
It's a lot. I love the next issue preview. Next issue, who is the Cape? If you missed the clue in this issue, you may need to pay closer attention.
There are some pretty good little notes in these books that are little extra jokes like that.
Yeah, they never actually explicitly say, but yeah, it was totally Bokkun who chewed through the cables.
Who else would just eat?
Probably thought they were black licorice.
I was going to say Twizzlers, yeah.
And our comic ends with an ad for the Walmart exclusive Chibi Robo Park Patrol and Knight's Journey to Dreams.
Hey, remember Knights?
No.
Okay.
Anyway.
So we jump forward to the next issue, number 27. Conquest is like a box of chocolates. Written by Ian Flynn, cover art by Patrick Spaziante, pencils by Stephen Butler, inks by Terry Austin, letters by John Workman, and colors by Josh Ray. I really like this cover. It's got that old school serial film cheese to it. It's just very good.
I like the very background is just like a big old splat of Nickelodeon slime.
Yeah.
That is very, very lovingly rendered.
Eggman is still playing up the El Gran Gordo thing, this time he's literally performing a match for representatives of the United Nations, including the president. Because,
I wish our real world UN was this cool to just go watch a wrestling match.
This is the kind of world that what WWE imagines itself to be there. Yeah, the UN wants us to perform for them. That would solve all of our problems.
War is abolished, only wrestling.
It's all going to lead to Eggman getting his own wrestling-themed city like that one Scooby-Doo movie.
I know on our version of Sonic F, we lean into the inherent goofiness of that series as president, but here he is literally he is also a huge mark for El Gran Gordo.
Him and who I'm pretty sure is Agent Flipsy next to him.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Agent Flipsy.
I think that is Agent Flipsy.
If it's okay, I'd like to mention one thing about the previous issue that I forgot to bring up.
Please.
So when we got Sonic and El Gran Gordo's intros, the announcer mentioned their weight in kilograms, and so I got curious and I looked it up. They introduced Sonic as 35 kilograms, which in American pounds, the superior unit of measurement, obviously.
Don't get it started.
In pounds, he is 77.1. Actually, if you round up, 77.2 pounds, which, how do we feel about that measurement of weight for Sonic?
I mean, he's like 3 feet tall. That tracks.
Yeah. I think Sonic wavers between official, if you're going by I remember Sonic Adventure guidebooks, and I think even stuff on the official Sonic channel. I think that's about it. I think Sonic usually clocks in at about 3'1" and 75 to 77 pounds. So that was probably pulled from somewhere.
I mean, this is Ian. He probably looked it up.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Even back then.
I just wonder what sort of weight class that would be. That's super lightweight or super featherweight or something like that. Not good thing this isn't actually boxing or anything, because I did, you wouldn't have Eggman versus Sonic in those sort of circumstances.
Yeah, no.
Unless you're playing the official Olympic Games.
But I think, to me, even more surprising is Eggman's weight of 128 kilograms, or in American pounds, 282.2 pounds, which that's like, as much as, you know, there's plenty of, these days not so much, but like over the years, there's been plenty of jokes about like, haha, Eggman fat. And that, like, especially for him being a wrestler in this series, and I promise when I say this is not derogatory, this is just kind of the slang I've heard every now and then from different workout routines and stuff. I feel like some people would consider Eggman quote unquote fat fit, which I think tracks, especially with some of the moves that he's pulling off in the ring. And I just think this is a really interesting real world measurement to this fictional character.
Well, he does have a pronounced belly, but his arms and legs are quite skinny, so maybe that's... And plus, I imagine there's quite a bit of muscle. Although they're going to muscle weighs more than fat.
Oh,
so,
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And as far as I know, like, that also tracks with like official quote unquote stats of Dr. Eggman, that he is about 6 feet tall and is about 280 in pounds. And yeah, he just carries it all in his tummy.
He probably eats fairly healthy, but just a little too much.
I mean, have you seen him book it around the Chow Garden? Like,
oh yeah, yeah.
He's
Yosh.
He doesn't exactly get tired. I think he's pretty good. Maybe he's like an alligator. He can kick it in for about 15 seconds in a straight line.
Oh man, I love that.
Yes, thank you, Jake. I appreciate that. Translating those stats for us. I do want to mention that this is where in Sonic X, in the main book, that penciler Stephen Butler basically changes his entire art style for how he draws Sonic characters, and I really like it. I think I've said that every time Stephen Butler comes up, to where he kind of struggled. He did kind of the old superhero comics thing where, all of these Sonic characters looked okay and all the background characters were just like
there.
Yeah. Predated that, but looked like the, the modern adaptation of Cats where people with various furry features that didn't really fit with the Sonic, style guide. But no, this is where his art starts to look really good in Sonic books.
Yeah.
Somebody talk about Deco dressed as a... Well, I'm not going to say it.
Oh my god! A chicken nugget!
We got it!
He's actually, that's the mighty morsel. Eggman's El Gran Gordo's opponent tonight, apparently.
I mean, charitably, the most charitable reading is he might be a meatball. Even though he claims he's supposed to be a chicken nugget.
Well,
also very funny that the only reason he has donned this persona is because he needs to speak to Dr. Eggman.
Well, they just needed a jobber tonight, so they brought this guy in. I got my own costume and everything!
Eggman has gotten so invested in the persona that he has just, like, basically given up on world conquest at this point.
Well, I believe that was part of his truce with Sonic, is he did agree to lay off it as in trade for not being unmasked. He doesn't even recognize Deco.
Well, tunnel vision when you're in the ring.
Yes, he is like Deco himself said in the last issue, he is bought into his own hype.
I do love him announcing his moves as he does them. There's that anime style, yell your attack name, and also a little bit Kinnikuman if we're going like wrestling style.
Yeah.
So he yells out, "Flying Gordito Smasher," which seems to just be him jumping on it. It's actually hard to tell what this move is. I was hoping to be able to translate it, but he just kind of dives at him and then grabs him in a reverse pin of sorts.
Yep, just like a big tackle, I suppose.
I imagine it's like a forward lunge, and then he swings his lower half of his body down to not only trip them, but also do that reverse pin, like he said. And then he picks him up and just slams him on the ground.
Yeah.
Yes, not letting him finish his sentence. He is trying to explain that there's something with Bokkun. But then, of course, we cut to
Miss Frizzle.
Yes. Okay. So this is Boko.
We need to talk about this.
Boko is trying to infiltrate the Thorndike compound to speak with Sonic, and Ella answers the door. And Man, I don't know. Somebody's got to know why, okay? For like the first half of the Sonic X comics, they straight up color Ella incorrectly.
So Ella, the maid character from Sonic X, is, well, she has a different skin tone to this in the show, I believe.
Yeah, very hard not to turn to this page and then, the famous line from Mean Girls, "Why are you white?" She's very pale, has carrot colored orange hair, and just does not look like the same character. I don't know who was in charge of making sure the colors were correct, but they done goofed on all of these issues we'll be looking at. They eventually got it right as Ella started to like be a more like recurring presence in the comics. She has a pretty funny running gag where it's implied that Dr. Eggman has a crush on her, which is it's very sweet. I'm not laughing like deriding like it's fun, but her colors are all fucked up.
Very much so.
Bokko's trying various disguises in order to get let in. He starts as a reporter, a door-to-door hairbrush salesman, the postman, and then I love would you like to buy some Thin Mints and support the girl bots of America?
And then he finally comes clean and says he needs to speak to Sonic because the leaders of the world are endangered. And Ella's like, "Oh, we should have just said so, darling."
Yeah, exactly. Blasted human morals. Who can resist Thin Mints?
Nobody.
I guess because he was made by a villain to be a fellow villain, like he just couldn't grasp the concept of just being an honest person and asking for Sonic's help.
Yeah.
I mean, up till now, I'm sure most of their... Like, anytime they have to interact with Sonic, it has to be some sort of scheme or something like that. But also, their creator has just recently been donning, like, disguises a lot, so I guess it's just running in the family now.
Literally programmed into the family.
So Sonic is hey, like you said earlier, Sonic X Sonic is chilling on the couch taking a nap and greets Bokko, and unlike El Gran Gordo, does not lift him up above his head and slam him into the ground, and so lets Bokko explain that it's not Eggman they're worried about. It's someone else. As we cut back to the stadium as there's a name for this move that Gran Gordo is giving poor.
It's some sort of surfboard here. I think he's applying. I just love how much he's just still going. He's like, hey, he's got to give the fans a show, so he's going to beat the ever loving shit out of his creation.
Yeah,
he's going to break this nugget.
I love as Bokkun as the evil cape makes himself known, starts quoting
it's Zero Wing, isn't it? The intro to Zero Wing.
Yes.
Slightly paraphrased.
Yep, slightly paraphrased with "I have set up the trap. No chance to escape. Take your time." Then
how are you, gentlemen?
Tremble before your new leader. I am Emperor, super awesome, mega brilliant, shiny, ecky, contains soup zowie with a cherry on top, Bokkun!
So many adjectives describes himself as Emperor Bokkun.
Which is, you know what, I love it. Like, I made a note saying that, like, Bokkun as the villain here is very Saturday morning cartoon in a good way. And also, the inclusion of literally the words "with a cherry on top" is something that I said as a kid to, like, put emphasis on something. And that's very kid-like, and I love it. That
really does seem like something out of a very particular Saturday morning cartoon. And also, yeah, the fact that Bokkun is meant to be like a goofy little kid as well, and that just perfectly fits his personality. The thing that Dr. Eggman as Gran Gordo is most angry about is that he is completely doing it wrong.
You open up with a crushing show of force, not your introduction.
But yes, Bokkun is flying around the stadium, revealing his plan is to take all of the present world leaders hostage, and ransom them for their country's candy supplies, and also change some rules, like the definition of a fun-sized candy bar, because how could something that tiny portion of candy be considered fun?
You know what? I can get behind that.
I feel like that's paraphrasing Strong Bad at least at one point.
Yes.
Oh, a fun-sized candy bar. Tell me this. What's fun about eating less candy? Maybe if you gave me an entire bag of them, it would be fun. The only fun I'm gonna have with this thing is smearing it all over your door when I leave.
I mean, it is hard not to dive into not only like pro wrestling and like luchador, but yes, I feel like rereading these. There's a little bit of Homestar Runner's Strong Bad in there as well.
And the concept of fun size will be rewritten. That's a bad Strong Bad.
Well, Strong Bad's voice himself is a bad Strong Bad, so that's okay.
I mean, Strong Bad is relevant to this because, you know, he's a wrestle man himself with a mask, so...
Yep. With a dramatic flourish, Bokkun has I'm assuming the robots that Eggman should have been building in the first story, which are giant Rock'em Sock'em robots, rip the roof off of this Superdome.
And I love that Eggman keeps going with his complaints of, no, the wanton destruction of property comes after the inevitable show of resistance.
He's got it down to a science.
Oh, yes.
I bet whoever is in charge of this venue just loves working with Gran Gordo.
And luckily, Sonic's been watching all this because it is a televised pay-per-view that I guess Sonic decided to watch anyway.
Hey, it's not his credit card bill.
Hey, yeah, there you go. It's Thorndike Industries. So after seeing this display on the TV, Sonic grabs Bokkun and runs off very quickly to the stadium to get to the bottom of this. Sonic, as he's speeding back to the stadium, we see one of the Rock'em Sock'em robots going for the President of the United States.
Oh my gosh, look close. He's getting Agent Flipsy right in the back of the head there.
Oh gosh,
my goodness.
That's
need some
easily a concussion.
It might be concussion worthy from 100-foot tall robot.
Yeah. But luckily we have the fantastic El Gran Gordo doing his big belly ballistic bounce, and somehow with all that strength knocking away that hand and saving the president.
Hey, what were we just saying? Fat fit.
Yeah, exactly.
He is focusing his strength.
I like that he keeps his character when he's talking to the president saying, "There you are, El Presidente."
Yes.
El Gran Gordo.
The president really has no idea because he says, "Oh, thank you, Senor Gordo." And then he says, "That little flying thing is worse than Dr. Eggman." And El Gran Gordo snaps at him. He said it would be an honor to duel with such a super villainous mastermind as Dr. Eggman. And I bet all the women would love him too.
Yeah.
And the president does the thing of, like the standard thing of somebody listening to a super fan. He just goes, okay.
Okay, buddy. Sure.
But then we have Bokkun coming up behind El Gran Gordo and the president getting ready to squeeze the strudel out of this overbaked pastry until Sonic arrives and I suppose ties up the two Rock'em Sock'em robots with something. Yeah, he's speeding around them, not tying them up.
Yes, I think he's making a show of like confusing them by zipping around, because then he makes quick work at them by baiting them into punching into his direction. And hey, like I said, they're Rock'em Sock'ems. They knock each other's blocks off.
And I love it. I actually, one year for Christmas, I got the game of the Rock'em Sock'em robots, and I got to play it every now and then with my dad, and it was super fun.
It's just some fun, child-friendly, mindless violence. Little plastic robots. Like, even if these were made by Eggman, they're, like, right in his wheelhouse. Eggman would absolutely see, like, a children's toy and be like, what if I made it giant and killed people with it? But then with his robot fun sizers out of commission by Sonic, El Gran Gordo takes the cape Bokkun to the mat and they start their scuffle.
Yeah, kind of gets his ass kicked, actually.
Yeah, no.
He's getting all wrapped up in that long cape Bokkun has, and man, he takes one right to the chin. He's seeing stars.
Bokkun is going full Spawn with that cape.
Oh, yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
It changes length depending on the panel, just like Spawn, too.
Yep. But after getting clocked very viciously, Deco and Boko reason with him that right now they don't need El Gran Gordo, they need a mad scientist, which leads El Gran Gordo to reveal his secret identity of Dr. Eggman right in the ring in front of millions of people, including the UN.
Literally. Yes.
Although I love in the same the same page where he reveals that he's Dr. Eggman, we have the president say, "What a heel turn!"
Yes, see, that's something I picked up this time. Like, that's funny. I get it.
I also love they acknowledge that. How did he change so fast? And it's just, I guess he had the outfit underneath his wrestling gear. Why not? I've always loved that gag.
Yeah, he got lessons from Weird Al.
I was gonna say it's Yakuza rules where you just grab the corner of your full suit and tie and everything and just rip the entire thing off. But yeah, Sonic makes it into the ring and Eggman says, I need time to think. Keep that little pest busy. And so Sonic does, and as you would probably not have a hard time believing, Sonic has an easier time dealing with Bokkun and his silly cape than Eggman did.
I do love this series of panels where Sonic is wrapped up tightly by the cape. He looks down and he looks up at Bokkun, just smiling very evilly.
Yes. So he immediately throws himself into a Sonic spin and bashes Bokkun around in the process.
We have an interesting resolution to all of this. So, as Eggman does like a bunch of arithmetic in his head, you can see like the equations popping up around him. And then he comes up with an interesting theory to solve this.
Which at first is having Sonic throw Bokkun at him and catching him and pinning him on the ground.
And it turns out that's it. Because after a moment of protestation, Bokkun immediately falls into a sugar crash coma.
Yep.
Which was what Eggman was calculating in his head the entire time, is the exact moment of how his massive sugar intake would run out and he would take a nap.
Just tucker himself out.
Yep.
I guess when you think about it, I guess he is a robot that runs on sugar.
Yeah, I guess that makes the most sense.
I don't, like I said, I don't think that's an actual thing in the show, but I love that it's in the comics because it just gives an extra little bit to his silly character.
Now then, hear me, Station Square. You have fallen for my most fiendish plot yet. You fell for my brilliant fake persona. You let me too close to your plans and your hearts. I now know everything.
Oh, please.
Not a word, Hedgehog. Come to think of it, our truce is over. Sleep lightly, Sonic.
Back to basics, huh? I like that just fine.
Again, my very limited wrestling knowledge. It's hard not to see this as Eggman turns to the crowd and says he had fooled them all as the famous, it was me, Austin! It was me the whole time! Oh, son of a... As he says, the entire world fell for his brilliant persona. And he has learned every, the weaknesses of, I guess, every country on Earth.
Yeah. You all like wrestling.
It is, like, even to this day, it's when a wrestler does a heel turn, and they're like, and I fooled each and every one of you. You all bought it, hook, line, and sinker. You're all a bunch of schlubs, that sort of thing. It is just pure pro wrestling.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I love Sonic and Eggman shake hands, crush each other's fingers, and officially call off their truce. It'll be back to Robot of the Week next issue, folks.
So Eggman gets out a remote. He flies away in one of the Rock'em Sock'em robots' heads, which I think is pretty neat.
I love the visual.
Yeah.
Of it launching up.
And we finally end the comic with Sonic picking up El Gran Gordo's mask, saying, maybe I should try being El Rapido Azul? Just kidding. I'd never do that to you. He says to, I guess, the camera.
Yeah, he's saying it to us.
Yes.
He's saying it specifically to me.
To me.
I mean, Sonic X, Sonic would do that sometimes.
Yeah, that's true.
Warning us about riding on Formula One race cars and all that.
Oh, yeah.
I'd never do that to you. Beat pause. And there it is. So let's jump forward to late March of 2008 for issue 31, The Return of El Gran Gordo.
Really good cover here, actually. I mean, what a shocker, right?
I really like this cover as well. Like, Eggman grappling with El Gran Gordo. It's great.
And Sonic coming off the top rope.
Yeah.
Yes, I even love the very, very, I mean, I would imagine accurate lighting on, the overhead lights, just as bright as they could be. And yeah, the shadows on Sonic as he's jumping towards appears to be the dueling figures of Dr. Eggman and El Gran Gordo. Oh my goodness. Maybe we'll get an explanation for that.
Saliva everywhere.
That cover, of course, drawn by Patrick Spaziante.
Naturally.
Main issue written by Ian Flynn, pencils by Tracy Yardley, inks by Terry Austin, letters by Phil Felix, and colors by Josh Ray.
And we've got a lot of very of their time ads for video games and various Archie Andrews comic back issues in these. But this one on the inside cover page of this for a yogurt snack from Kellogg's really does plant you straight into the mid 2000s where companies, specifically food and candy companies, just could not come up with more ways to try and peddle yogurt to children. And I'll tell you what, I'm just going to insert this entire ad right here, read in a dramatic fashion.
A perilous warning to not wolf your Yogos. Willie O'Dilly was quite a normal lad, whose love for Yogos drove him howling mad. When he first poured them in sheer fascination, he discovered a fruit-flavored creamy sensation. Willie quickly grew fangs by the light of the moon. Overcome with delight, he barked and he crooned. As ever more quickly, he noshed and he nibbled. There was lesser and lesser of our werewolf's sweet kibble. When all too soon Willie's last bite was finished, his desire for their taste still hadn't diminished. As he howls at the moon to vent his sorrows, remember his lesson. Slow go on the Yogos, Kellogg's fruit-flavored snacks.
Well, that's a way to sell yogurt. I'm no stranger to this sort of thing. I mean, but this sort of thing specifically, yeah, that's a bit strange. But it was of the time. They wanted the companies wanted extreme ways for kids to get into eating yogurt because that's a difficult task.
Because I guess the overarching thought is that yogurt is a healthy snack, which I suppose in some form it is. I guess in the same way that like Big Dairy pushed like the Got Milk campaign because of calcium and vitamin D and whatever. But then like this specifically, Yogos from Kellogg's, fruit-flavored snacks, it really seems like a candy that just happens to have the texture of yogurt on the inside. And I think I had these once. Like it is like firing up a long dead brain neuron that I might have had these as a kid as well. And I mean, they aren't around anymore, so I guess that says all you need to know.
Archie Sonic really trying to be like, "Sup, my young Parsons? I too am so on the go that I drink my yogurt from a tube."
Precisely.
It's not bad to have a little bit of yogurt in your life, to get your stomach bacteria working a bit better.
Yeah.
It has its elements, but also I'm not sure if it's the sort of thing that kids are going to be excited about. So that's why they tried this, I suppose.
And again, I do question, like, if any positive bacterium biome would survive the process of being shoved into a candy shell by the Kellogg's Corporation.
Yeah, now you mention it. I'm just thinking of yogurt in its natural form, not whatever this probably is.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get to this story proper.
So the story proper actually begins like almost exactly the same way as the first arc did, with Chris and Chuck on the couch watching wrestling with Sonic doing the tongue out thing. And
he's drooling this time.
Yeah, a little little did Joel. And immediately, like, there's a reason that Ian Flynn and Tracy Yardley are the dream team, and this is where it really started.
I guess it's just from all the time that we spent enjoying the work, the collaborations of Ian Flynn and Tracy Yardley, but seeing this just feels so right all of a sudden. You know, it's like, yes, this feels like at a time this felt like home for the Archie Sonic.
Yeah, Tracy's pencils, like, just they look so correct drawing the Sonic X universe. Like, the way he has such a good balance of, like, the anime's own pretty unique style, and also his own, like, drawing all the human characters, Sonic himself. And I mean, I love that the wrestler that Chuck and Chris are watching now is just, it's straight up Andre the Giant.
Yep. I think you mean Andy's the Ginormous?
Oh, yes.
I mean, even down to the one over the shoulder leotard here.
The single singlet, like, it was a good choice, because this is, like, maybe not so much these days, but Andre the Giant is one of those wrestlers that people just knew, and I think that's partly due to his presence in, like...
Princess Bride.
Princess Bride, yeah, and, like, other media like that.
I do see, like, almost like clockwork. I want, like, every other year, like, just his behind the scenes interviews and stories about working on The Princess Bride, and just about, like, what a fun guy he was to hang out with, who just happened to be a literal giant of a man.
Yeah.
I've heard stories about Andre the Giant beyond The Princess Bride, and while he did seem like a nice guy, he's also a lot of work to be around, apparently. Because that man, to get drunk, he would have to drink a lot. And also, when he was at hotel rooms, the toilets weren't often big enough for him, but luckily, there was a bathtub.
Oh my gosh.
I was going to say, I've also heard some stories about Andre the Giant that even for our heavily PG-13 podcast would not be appropriate. But hey, he was a man, a human man.
That's not saying anything about Andy's the Ginormous here, who is... He's calling El Gran Gordo out, just like, I do not know. I am Ford. I want a real challenge, like that coward El Gran Gordo. I would fight him if he ever decided to show himself again.
Yeah, that's just Andre the Giant there. That's very good.
Thank you.
That's how the man talks.
Yeah.
Side note, was that a combination of just him being large, and wasn't he also deaf in one ear?
And he's French.
Okay, yeah, he is French, isn't he?
Oh,
yeah.
He's got all those things going against him.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry. The curse of being French as well.
I don't think Chris is still fully bought into the idea that, oh yeah, El Gran Gordo was really Eggman all along. Chuck very much has, but...
Oh yeah.
Sonic's like, oh, come on, this Eggman's not going to challenge this guy. He gave up on being a luchador. Cut to Eggman's base, where he does not appreciate being called out.
Another example of what you mentioned in our last issue is where Sonic says Dr. Eggman gave up on that silly luchador business a long time ago. Smash cut to a very angry Eggman, and Deco is saying, oh, now remember, you gave up that silly luchador business a long time ago. Yep. It's really good. We get a brief recap from our two dumb bots about the previous Gordo story arc. Bokkun pulling the, oh, come on, I was just a little guy, a little birthday boy. You can't stay mad at me.
Of course, Eggman, however, is like, I've prepared for this incredibly obscure and unlikely scenario. I have a plan. As we see the next day, as Sonic is taking a run through Station Square, Dr. Eggman has invaded the Go Ahead Bake My Day bakery.
Give me those sweets! And money too, I guess.
Eggman's already taken 40 cakes. That's terrible. Time to kick his keister again.
And he's already taken 40 cakes. He's taken 4 times 10 cakes. And that's terrible.
Time to kick his keister again.
A deliberate reference here.
I can't believe.
Yeah, what is that a reference to? I forgot.
That is a callback to what was it? The DC, like...
Yeah, the DC Super Dictionary, which was a book, gosh, when did this come out?
In 1978.
Yes.
But this one panel has become a long-standing meme, and I feel like this more than anything does kind of date that issue, but...
I mean, it was an internet meme before, like, we even called things internet memes.
Yeah.
It is an image of the pink jumpsuited Lex Luthor running with a tether on a huge trolley cart full of cakes, and the caption has the word 40 next to Lex Luthor, and it says, "When no one was looking, Lex Luthor took 40 cakes. He took 40 cakes. That's as many as 4 10s, and that's terrible."
It's the "and that's terrible"
that's
that
terrible.
sells it.
Yes. Yeah, it has had a long legacy to where it crops up in a Sonic the Hedgehog comic.
And that's terrible.
Yeah, I think it's pretty funny, actually.
We get an ad for the extreme, like, how to draw anime era of Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Oh my goodness! Sorry, I've saw this before, but
Oh, it looks so bad.
oh my goodness! Someone had watched Sailor Moon for the first time, I guess, and
Oh boy.
I'm sorry. Looking at the actual cover of Sabrina here, the proportions are.
She looks like a Clamp character.
I was about to say more in line with the Clamp school of design.
You're right. Oh my god, this is like the second time I've mentioned Salem the Cat from Sabrina the Teenage Witch in this episode.
Oh my gosh.
There's a very anime mascot looking Salem.
Oh, I remember this. Yes. Oh my gosh.
So we cut forward, and as Sonic is chasing after Eggman, who should show up on the passing TV but El Gran Gordo? Hola, amigos. Guess who's back? But how could he be there and as Dr. Eggman at the same time? Something seems fishy, you guys.
Why would Eggman take 40 cakes? And just to reiterate, that's terrible.
This is the first. Oh, I never noticed the Sonic item box in this electronics.
Oh yeah,
that's
nice.
cute. This is also the first time that Dr. Eggman gets away and Sonic just goes, shoot.
Oh, darn it.
But yeah, no, El Gran Gordo has responded to Andy's challenge, and he's going to see him in the ring tonight.
That night, we see Sonic running next to Grandpa Chuck's Roadster. Seems to have been modified from episode 2 of Sonic X quite a bit.
Looking like a carrot with wheels. Chris asks Sonic if he's going to come join them for the match, but Sonic is, of course, very skeptical, and he says he's going to do some laps around the city to try to find Eggman and get some answers. So they part ways on the interstate, and we get to cut straight to the ring, where Andy is giving a very pro-wrestler speech. It looks like... I'm not going to do the voice, actually.
Where is that coward? Where is El Gran Gordo?
I love the line from Sonic where he says, "Thanks, buddy. Snap a picture for me if Gran Gordo gets hit with a folding chair."
I cannot believe Andy's here would call it a champion's belt. Vince McMahon very upset about that.
Is that a very copyrighted term?
Well, it's more of the fact that certain people really don't like them calling it a belt, even though that's technically what it is. It has to be like a championship or a title, because a belt is something you just use to keep your pants up. This is a championship.
This has meaning.
It deserves being a true proper noun, not just an article of clothing.
Of course, this is where El Gran Gordo makes his big entrance. I love the immediate response from Andy's. The mountains do not kneel. Least of all to you.
And that's when I realized, oh yeah, the Andes.
That's a real good wrestling line.
Yes.
I just love him saying, so you're the one who ordered the Muy Grande Smackdown. And that reminds me that Smackdown, like, maybe it existed before, but that is a term largely popularized by The Rock that has, like, entered popular culture, like, massively.
Gran Gordo enters the ring and tries to give a half-hearted kayfabe explanation on how he's not really Dr. Eggman.
There's all an elaborate ploy to save the president, which also sounds like a wrestling plotline.
Yep. And just as he's trying to say that he's the one true El Gran Gordo,
D apostrophe O.
Yep.
And he gets German suplexed.
right into the ground by the tremendous Andes.
And of course, Eggman's like, "Oh right, I won all my matches through trickery and cheating, but I also managed to last longer than any of my robots against Sonic. So maybe I can do this for real."
Arriba!
Yeah. Next page. I definitely cannot do this for real.
Do we think that Dr. Eggman, with his perceived bad Spanish, you think he can roll his R's properly?
I've watched Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. Yes.
Yes.
They can't put that many R's in his dialogue and not expect us to imagine it being rolled, you know?
That's the one aspect he practiced really hard to get right.
By the way, this next page of action here I always love when, like, cartoony media portrays the ropes as, like, really, really stretchy.
Yeah.
So, like, Andy's, like, tosses El Gran Gordo into the ropes and he sort of, like, springs into them, like, and comes back and catches him with a clothesline. I love that stuff.
And just a great sequential art from Tracy Yardley here with no dialogue that is just perfectly illustrating these actions.
I just wish they could do that in real wrestling. The ropes don't work that way, but they should.
Yeah, as all this is happening, Sonic has finally managed to track down Eggman, in quotes, and spots him stealing from a candy store, which, you know, there's your giveaway, but we need another page or two to draw this out. But
right.
First the bakery, then the candy. Oh, I know who you are.
And plus...
also, this Eggman cannot come up with a good comeback line to Sonic, and also doesn't know what any of the buttons on the Eggmobile do, so... It's Bokkun.
Yes.
It's just Bokkun. We get the reveal.
Yeah. And he would have gotten away with it too if it hadn't been for that pesky hedgehog. Because he just pulls the mask off like Scooby-Doo stuff. And there is something really upsetting about Bokkun's head coming out of Eggman's body.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah. I do love, yes, he's sitting on the floor with an Eggman arm full of wrapped candy, shoving it into his little robot face. I even love the detail of, like, you can see gears down in, in the robot. That it is a robot, it's not just like a big rubber suit. Because that's what Eggman knows, man. He knows robots.
Yep. We get another one of those parallel panels of Sonic pointing at Bokkun saying, "Well, enough's enough." And then we have Gran Gordo himself is saying, "Had enough." After being thoroughly beaten.
He's not doing well.
And again, we get to maybe one of the best panels in all of Archie Sonic X. Andy's throwing him down like,
"Go ahead and tap out. Surrender. I shouldn't have to waste my energy to end you myself."
And Eggman is just about to tap out until he sees the tear-stained face of Chris Thorndike. "I believe in you."
I believe in you.
Oh my gosh.
And immediately just,
"El Gran Gordo never surrenders."
And he is back up on his feet. Immediate, you know.
He is powered up by the hopes and dreams of the children, like Gamera.
I mean, this is pro wrestling right here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if pro wrestling were real, that's what it would be. You know, the whole coming back from getting your ass kicked, the big Hulk Hogan hulking up. I wish I didn't have to keep referring to Hulk Hogan. That's terrible. But, you know.
My limited knowledge, like, this had to have been something that John Cena has done as well.
Oh, absolutely. Like, John Cena was the Hulk Hogan of that time.
One of the ultimate baby faces was powered up with the the love and admiration of the crowd.
Yeah.
To like, just like in here, to an unbelievable degree of, he just got his ass kicked. How is he getting back up? No, he's kicking out. Oh, he kicked out at 2. Oh, no, he's going to win it. Okay, he's won again. The kids love it, but, oh, man.
With the new power invested in him by this child, El Gran Gordito finishes off Andy's with the Flying Gordito Smasher, where he comets his entire butt into the back of Andy's and takes the championship.
This illustrates what the move is. It's flying senton, but I think they just, like, Tracy Yardy was told to draw the funniest looking move that Eggman could do from the top rope, and that's it, because his legs are splayed as he crashes his entire ass onto the Andy's back.
I do very much like on the next page, Sonic's trying to bring Bokkun still in the Eggman suit to the cops, and there's just something funny about that image alone.
These goofy looking officers that kind of look like maybe they were supposed to be the two from episode 1, but not really. Just that all cops in Sonic X look like this. And to escape, Bokkun unleashes his armful of gumballs. And everyone trips and falls. Yes, exactly. Here's where we get our other... And Eggman gets away, and Sonic just goes, shoot.
Not my day.
Darn it.
I like Bokkun calling them boys in blue, because technically, all three of them.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Oh my god. Okay, another... Sorry, before we make it to our closing pages, we have an advertisement commanding us to read Archie Comics' brand new blogs.
Oh boy.
Oh boy, visit archiecomics.com. Each of our 18 titles will have their very own blog. Oh gosh. I think maybe we'll have to do some research on the Wayback Machine. I think I remember maybe reading the Sonic ones a couple of times. I can just not imagine the unsustainability of that, which was probably...
And the best part is, you, the fans, can contribute directly to the blogs in a fun, safe atmosphere to let us know what you think.
Yeah, sure, buddy. I was going to say the unsustainability of these blogs that were probably extra work for already overworked interns, I'm sure.
For real.
Oh.
And on top of that, like, kids being like, you want me to read words without pictures? What do you think I am? Literary?
Were people into blogs back then? Well, I mean, I'm sure, like, companies had just found out about them, evidenced here. But
I'd say yes. I think, yes, at one time people were into blogs. By the time this was out in late 2007, was it?
Early 2008.
Oh, God. No, I think, like you said, the companies found out about blogs. And so, hey, famous, stable, and not at all trash fire of a company, Archie Comics, was like, yeah, see, that's what the kiddies want, see?
am I going to open, like, an Archie issue these days, and they're going to be like, hey, kid, come on and check out the Archie TikTok for all your TikToks. And, man.
I mean, the closest is probably those pretty funny, like, mini webcomics that occasionally crop up that I think some old Archie Sonic staff still contribute to occasionally. But I am being perfectly honest, like, no, I am not cracking open whatever modern equivalent of an Archie digest is to see how they are hanging with the hip kids these days.
I think Betty would be into Sephora, whereas Veronica would really like Kate Spade. That's some inside baseball because my wife works for a department store.
Yeah, I know. I'm picking up what you're putting down, Jake.
Yeah.
It hit.
I have no context whatsoever for any of those words you said.
Yes, I'm the one who makes weird references now.
Oh, boy.
You finally made it, Jake.
And all it took was me barely understanding fashion trends.
Yeah, Sonic gets back, and Chris has fully bought into everything he saw in the ring.
He's barking out.
Yeah, no, he thought that, El Gran Gordo was just letting Andy's beat on him to beat suspense. He's not actually Eggman, and Sonic's a good enough guy that he's not gonna, shatter the illusion.
He's finally coming around on the whole thing.
Yeah.
But they are interrupted as there's a knock at the door, and it's old EGG himself asking for Sonic the Hedgehog's help.
Wearing his championship belt.
Yeah. Also, with you spelling it out, Luke, I just now realized that
Yeah.
I also, to be honest with you.
Me too.
I've been sitting on that for a couple of days now.
Don't.
Well, maybe one day he'll get his own channel and he'll call it the EGG station.
Very odd to see one of the last ads in here is for New York Comic-Con to see a Superman, Batman, and Hawkwoman illustration in an Archie comic.
And also Wonka Sweetheart Syrup, because why not?
Specifically that odd, frantic cartoon redesign of the Willy Wonka candy brand, which is also not around anymore, that was in the this point in the 2000s.
I don't want to be the kind of person that dunks on kids' fan art, but it is funny that the two pieces of fan art here in the letters section are clearly based on the same piece of Sonic X art, if you look at them, just drawn in different styles.
Just like the early issues of the comic.
Yes. I would say shame on the editor for picking these two pieces specifically to kind of unintentionally dunk on both of these children for copying the same piece of art.
It's that picture of Sonic, slightly crooked leg, one leg pointing outwards. It's that little superhero action pose where he's just sort of like, but he kind of looks like he's sort of like, whoa! Very popular with the kids, apparently.
Maybe it was the only piece of art they could get when they visited the official Archie's Sonic X comic blog.
So yeah, we jump forward to the final issue we are going to be covering today, issue 32, title Mismatch. Cover by Patrick Spaziante, written by Ian Flynn, pencils by Tracy Yardley, inks by Terry Austin, letters by John Workman, and colors by Jason Jensen. I know we say this a lot, but I really like this cover. It is a great send-up to, like, the Batman 66 era.
Yes, it is Sonic, El Rapido Azul,
Yes.
and El Gran Gordo doing the Batman walking up the side of a building on their grappling ropes, where Deco and Boko are asking for autographs from El Gran Gordo, and Sonic as Rapido Azul is just looking nonplussed. He's not fully bought into the costume.
Yeah.
But I do very much love that costume. I think it's striking and it looks really cool to me.
Yes, it is neat. I love it. We get a really good look at it later in the issue.
It's funny seeing, like, light blue Sonic with the Sonic X design, because it's kind of like a meeting of, like, I don't know, what would be classic Sonic these days with the lighter blue.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, yeah. That very distinct periwinkle.
Yeah. Oh, this is Sabrina again.
Yep.
Another
the 70s cartoon, I believe.
Right. I was wondering why. Is that supposed to be Salem?
Yeah.
Or is that another cat that they had back then? Okay.
The Filmation series took some creative liberties.
Yeah, this little ginger Aristocat style cat.
Oh, that is what he looks like, yeah.
Like O'Malley.
Knowing it was Filmation, where they're like, God, we're not going to spend a fortune on black ink to color in one damn cat.
I think you are exactly right.
We're barely afloat with that He-Man garbage.
So, starting the comic proper, we have Chris wondering what happened to El Gran Gordo for him to show up at the Thorndike Mansion. So Gran Gordo goes into a whole spiel about after winning, he decided that he was going to take down that handsome genius, Dr. Eggman, based on what he was hearing about his thievery. But as he was getting close, he was taking down robots left and right, traversing through. But it was just too much. He had to make a tactical retreat and try to find some help.
I love the editor's note on the first page after Chris saying, we just got home from your match. And it's like, just last issue. You have it, don't you? Like, yeah, thanks. Uh-huh.
Buy it now.
Yeah, see, this is where I think the Ella and Eggman have an unrequited crush on each other, because she is convinced that she went to high school with El Gran Gordo.
Yeah, Grandpa Chuck reassures him that he has something in his lab that can help. Chris Thorndike is super excited that he's that Gordo's in the house, and he wants to show him his scrapbook all about him. And then, as you said, Ella is going to try to find her yearbook because she's absolutely sure that they went to high school together.
And is everybody else out of the room? All right, Eggman, what really happened?
Which, can I just interject again? I feel like I'm unintentionally like defending Chris Thorndike here. I was also a scrapbook kid who would cut especially pictures of Sonic out of any random like magazine and put it in a literal scrapbook. You know, the ones with the big plastic sheet you would pull aside with the adhesive. Yes, I specifically remember, and now I wonder if maybe they were mad at me after the fact, over at a friend of my parents' house, and instead of playing with their kids, I got on their computer and printed out pictures of Sonic the Hedgehog on their home printer, and probably used the equivalent today of thousands of dollars of ink.
Oh my gosh.
Just to take it home to put in my scrapbook.
It's like, well, we can't really do too much. I mean, he's not our child, so just let him print his Sonics.
So yes, as you were saying, Sonic gets the real story from El Gran Gordo.
As it turns out, Eggman's just like, stupid match, I just want to go home and sleep. But Bokkun's really gotten into the part, and now Eggman has been designated a traitor in his own base, so he has to go get Sonic for help to get back in.
Again, warning against living the gimmick.
Yep. So Sonic cuts him a deal saying, I'll help you, but you have to promise to never be Gran Gordo again. And I love that Eggman says, fine, extortionist.
Yeah, under his breath.
And then we get a little bit more of that possible romance between El Gran Gordo / Eggman and Ella. Thank you.
It slipped out of your brain because, again, this is a Caucasian-ass different character here.
The romance of sorts shown only in the Sonic X comic between Eggman and Ella is especially funny because of the dub having Mike Pollock playing both characters, and Mike Pollock has leaned into that a few times with some voice recordings, and that's very cute.
Oh, Eggy, thank you for saving me from having to serve those losers.
No problem, baby.
So yeah, they are off, but Eggman is insistent that if Sonic is going to help him, he's going to do it right. And remember when Sonic said that he would never be El Rapido Azul?
He lied.
Joke's on him.
He didn't lie, but...
Joke's on you, Hedgehog. I love this costume as well. Like, man, somebody in our social circle needs to fund someone making a mod for, do Sonic Frontiers. Why not?
Oh my gosh, yes.
El Rapido Azul.
Man.
We're going to use our tiny, teeny, insignificant amount of Sonic internet clout to put that idea out to the world.
And if our clout isn't enough, I'll pay for it.
We'll kick in a little extra if you go to the detail of making the cape and having it flap while he runs, because, that'd be so cool.
It's an interesting mask that he's wearing, because it doesn't really hide his identity at all. I know Sonic's already behind the 8 ball because he is the only person in the world who looks like that, and no amount of clothing is going to disguise that. But also, you can see most of his face anyway. It's pretty funny, though.
But then again, we definitely had people thinking that, in Sonic Adventure 2, thinking Sonic was Shadow in plain light in his blue self.
I'm only judging by the state of the moon in this particular shot that the Sonic Adventure 2 saga has not happened yet. But yes, society as a whole will be held accountable when they cannot comprehend the thought of another hedgehog that isn't Sonic. I can only assume that when Eggman tosses their grappling hook up to the top of his base and says, "Follow me, chum," that is a direct reference to 66 Batman.
Oh,
100%.
Yeah, of course.
Meanwhile, Deco and Boko are just living it up, taking advantage of the fact that I think Bokkun believes Deco and Boko don't know that he is Dr. Eggman, whereas they do know and are leaning into it, so they are getting out of doing any of their chores and work around the base.
Yep.
Deco's very busy playing his imported copy of Fire Emblem on his Game Boy Advance.
Yeah. Nice pull.
No, let's be real. He's playing Kudu Kudu Kududin or something. Just something really obscure in Japanese.
Now he could play it on the Nintendo Switch with the expansion pass.
It's true. Yeah, no, they are living it up, but they see El Gran Gordo and his sidekick El Rapido Azul approaching, and I love this panel of Boko just time for Plan B.
He's shifting into dramatic lighting mode.
Yes.
Yeah.
A very powerful stance.
It's the big red button.
So after hitting the button on the outside, we get some turrets shooting some lasers at El Gran Gordo, and I think I'm just going to keep saying Eggman and Sonic from this point on. It's a mouthful. I like saying El Gran Gordo.
Don't break kayfabe!
I'm sorry, yes. So one of the turrets snaps the rope that they were holding onto, and they fall to the ground. Of course, Sonic getting crushed by our own fat fit man, El Gran Gordo.
Not the first or last time it would happen to Sonic.
Oh yeah, no. I guess technically he's getting the Gordito Smasher right now.
Yeah, a little bit.
A bit of a botched one.
Yes.
The blasted hole, that was my only rope. It's just so funny to me for some reason.
That was my only rope. It's almost like on the same wavelength of like, we're not at the beach, this is a bathtub.
Sonic has a Plan B, and Plan B is literally run up the side of the base carrying El Gran Gordo.
There is nothing that can stop El Gran Gordo and El Rapido Azul!
Need a breather. Not Rapido Azul.
You've done well to make it this far, Double G.
But you underestimate Dr. Eggman's forces!
Go, Badnik Army!
We do get a super cool, I'm just going to say action hero pose as they break through the glass on the top floor.
Yes, if previously it was like a 66 Batman, this seems like some crazy like McFarlane or Jim Lee like superhero poses as they crash through the base here. Including this hot damn, what a leg bend from El Gran Gordo in this middle panel here.
But Deco and Boko are taking no prisoners as they unleash the Badnik Army. I'm surprised to see them use the word Badnik in a Sonic X tie-in.
Well, I mean, technically, yeah, but also Ian Flynn.
Yeah. Also, they do look like the Sonic X equivalent of generic Eggman robots.
Yeah.
Not ones with a special letter number name designation.
Yeah, no E-series here. I think it is fun that El Gran Gordo is, easily holding his own against the Badniks, but El Rapido Azul is pretty consistently screwing up because of the cape. So
the mode, she had it right.
Some people can live the gimmick, some people can't.
No capes. Not used to fighting in that mask either.
Speaking of living the gimmick, Bokkun and Deco are a little bit too into it. Fight all you want, luchadors. Resistance, it's futile.
And then Eggman just gets fed up with it all and tears his mask off. It's me, you morons.
Sorry, you bolt-brained buffoons is such an AOSTH Robotnik line.
Oh, yeah.
Even better. Goes to previous issue where Sonic specifically says that because Bokkun does not come up with an alliterative comeback, that can't be the real Eggman.
Yes, yeah. Long-winded and
and poor Deco and Boko are like, it wasn't us, your costume was so good they had no way of telling it wasn't you.
Yeah, and your copy was too brilliantly designed.
Yeah.
Well, I am a genius.
Yes, of course. He swallows it hook, line, and sinker. Oh, yeah. They also reveal that the fake Eggman is in Lab 14, where Eggman's latest E-Series project is being developed.
The Egg Babylon, as it were.
Yep.
And of course, Sonic's like, oh good, another robot for me to smash, save me a step of stopping you later.
Even though Eggman does put his Gran Gordo mask back on, he is also continuing to believe his own hype by desperately not wanting to reveal the surprise of a new robot that he planned to sick on Sonic later.
Yeah.
That really tickles me.
I do.
The next page is basically a new version of the
Red Eye. Yeah.
The Red Eye from Death Egg Zone and Sonic and Knuckles.
Yep.
I like that mini boss. It's a scary one. So,
I love seeing like different interpretations of that boss, especially in 3D. Like the shot we get of the reveal is a 3D angle, because that boss stuck with me so much as a kid because it's got a big scary eyeball on it, and it's really cool. I'd love to see it pop up in other things. You know, I have to point out one last time that the ads in this last book we're going have shifted from like candy and video games and outside things to being 90% just advertising other Archie comics. And I wonder if that was intentional or like a commentary on maybe the dire state of comics advertising at the time.
I mean, when they've got advertisements for things that aren't themselves, they're probably getting paid more for that. So think of that what you will.
Wah, wah. And Sonic is immediately killed.
Yeah.
The end.
Yeah, 10 years later, this exact same thing would happen to him in World of Light.
Oh, damn, you're right.
Oh no, it just shredded that pesky costume, so now he's free to fully rev up and not hold back.
And this part where Sonic's like, wow, that armor's tough. Does this thing have a weakness? And Eggman is just like,
I don't want to say. I didn't even get to use it. It's not fair.
I mean, even on the next page after he shows Sonic like the vent to the core to direct him there, he's like, "Daddy's sorry. I didn't want to tell the mean hedgehog your secret." The thing.
I love the cross section we get as Sonic dives through the exhaust vent and pops right up atop the tower behind our fake Eggman. If you look close, he's kicking his chair, but the illustration looks like he just kicks him right in his robot ass.
It's a flexible exoskeleton, I'll say that.
Yeah. And he drops a Slim Shady reference here.
I wanted to bring something up with this. I'm not sure about the timing based on things, but when he said, "Will the not real Eggman please get up?" I was wondering, again, I don't know about the dates, but I was wondering
I know exactly what you're going to say, Jay.
I was wondering if he was referencing the real Eggman rap.
I'm Eggman, yes, the real Eggman, and you other robotics aren't as bad as I am, so won't the real Eggman please stand up? Can't stand up, can't stand up!
Oh, God. Yeah. I can't discount the possibility. I think that was earlier, so maybe?
I can never discount the possibility of Ian Flynn referencing anything on the internet. You know?
Yes, the original Newgrounds submission, which is not available anymore, was dated January 8th, 2006.
Well, there you go. It's entirely possible.
I remember watching that so much.
I know, over and over.
Yes, authored by authors listed as Bug and Instant Sonic. I definitely remember watching that.
Sorry, I'm just like, so yeah, like between panels, Bokkun comes out of the robot suit of Eggman with the little spring pointing out, and this is
it's so muppety. It is so muppety.
Swedish Chef. That's exactly what I was going for.
It looks, it's a Sonic Adventure 1 model Dr. Eggman suit.
I love it.
Just bobs his head up and down.
Yeah.
And of course, just like Deco and Boko, he can't stay mad at his robot minions because, his creations were just so good. Sonic reminding him that now that they've accomplished their mission, that he has to hang up his Gran Gordo mantle forever.
And we finally get back to Chris's house where Chris is just waking up. And again, to his credit, Sonic is doing his best to maintain the kayfabe.
Yeah, this is like a little mini story arc of Sonic, even if it takes place over like 2 sets of stories that are separated by like 4 issues. He's sort of like come around to being like, okay, maybe this gimmick isn't so bad after all if this kid likes it. So I'll go along with it.
It's even like, and maybe I'm reading too much into it, but like assuming that Sonic is like an adolescent teen in Sonic X, that he he's pretty chill, but also at the same time would be at that age where you're just like, I can figure stuff out about the world now, and people are wrong. That means they're stupid. And like gently learning that like you have to use a light touch, especially with younger kids like Chris here, who is fully bought into wrestling and the idea of Gran Gordo, and that like what like he said in one of the other issues that no good can come of this of crushing this child's dreams. So it's like you said, it is a nice end to that little mini arc of Sonic learning to lighten up about this a little bit, even involving Dr. Eggman.
Speaking of which, Eggman is finally, getting back at his bots for causing all that trouble by forcing Deco, Boko, and Bokkun to fix all the damages from the previous night. And
catch up on their other regular maintenance chores and routines. Which, hey, as someone who procrastinates, I get it. They say what's like, oh, all the work they didn't do is happening right now. It's like, oh yeah, I guess I should put up my clean laundry after, a week. I get it, boys, is what I'm saying. I get it, robots.
And we end on a nice little page of Eggman sneaking into his room. I do enjoy being an evil genius. I really do. But sometimes it's fun to escape. And just staring at the El Gran Gordo costume, now enshrined for all eternity.
Yep.
There's another Batman thing, it feels like, hanging up the suits.
I was going to say, it reminds me of the classic, what is it? Oh, the one with Adam West as the guest star, the Silver Shadow or something.
Oh, the Grey Ghost.
Grey Ghost, where, the real Batman brings him to his bat cave and shows him and says, like...
As a kid, I used to watch you with my father. The Grey Ghost was my hero.
So it wasn't all for nothing.
El Gran Gordo is that for the children of the world. You did it, Dr. Eggman.
There you go.
Now go blow up the moon.
And so ends the legend of El Gran Gordo. Or does it? Actually, does it?
Yes.
Okay.
And it does. Like there's some little cameos and nods here and there, but that's the last time we ever see him like in full.
There's not that many issues left, I suppose, anyway, so even if Ian did have plans, well, that's a shame.
If in an alternate future, could we have seen El Gran Gordo take up the mantle again to powerbomb a Metarex?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I would like that. Not bad for a guy whose gimmick name is literally the Great Fat Guy, essentially.
Yep. If it was good enough for Otis, it was good enough for Eggman.
Yeah, I guess that was used later on in WWE. I don't know if it was an intentional reference or not, or whether they just decided to do the same joke. When Otis, the rather large, rotund gentleman in WWE, took up a masked luchador persona, it was El Gran Gordo. So,
I mean, now that we're really like able to look at it on its own, I just really appreciate all the little touches about the El Gran Gordo costume. Like, it's just a really good costume. I don't know whose ear at Sega Ian needs to pull, but let's get this into Sonic Dash.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or Speed Battle.
If there is any chance of officially just throwing in one of those mobile games.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. But yeah, this was just a fun arc.
It really was.
Yes. It is so interesting that these, and I mean, we talked at the top about how the Sonic X comics were very much like, just like, oh, story of the week. Like I remember, like the original run is very much like, what if we did all of the Earth holidays, but with Sonic, like Christmas and St. Patrick's and Valentine's, etc., etc. But like, this is actually kind of like a mini story arc spread out over the course of several months with El Gran Gordo, and it's just charming as hell. I loved it.
It's a lot of fun.
Sorry, I don't want to derail us, but did you say they did a St. Patrick's Day thing?
Yes.
Wow, they must have had a lot of salami for that episode.
Can't remember the story beats off the top of my head, other than the cover is Bokkun in a cartoon leprechaun costume.
Of course.
He was generally the go-to character. It was like Bokkun and Cream were like, oh, these children will learn about Earth traditions.
Getting blackout drunk and pinching your friends.
So yeah, like we said at the beginning, especially for me, as somebody who has never read any of the Sonic X comics until this point doing this episode, this was definitely a great introduction to those comics, and I was able to appreciate the artwork and the writing. I personally really love just the feel in the atmosphere of like, it's got that feel of a Saturday morning cartoon, but you also have some of that good Sonic comic continuity, and it's just light enough to really just be a nice, enjoyable read. It doesn't, if I was to equate it to anything, it doesn't feel like you're taking on junk food, in a sort of way. It still feels substantial, but like in a lighter way that's like just wholly enjoyable. Like, we have a story where Eggman's a wrestler. That's just awesome.
Yes. Yep. And even though this was the era where the staff of the main Archie Sonic comic was changing over to Ian Flynn and the crew, like, it's nice to keep in mind that this was coming out the same time as where he was closing so much baggage from old storylines in Archie that was still very much interesting to read, but also it is nice just to hop over to Sonic X for like a nice story with no strings attached, just, the stakes are very low, but it is just some fun Sonic shenanigans without having to worry about mourning the death of the Sir Conry the Horse Knight.
I mean, you can't follow that part up, really.
No,
that's it. That's the nadir of that. Ian Flynn is really great at writing all different kinds of Sonic. He wrote for the Sonic X comic. He wrote for 2 different continuities of Archie, essentially. He's writing for IDW every now and then, and of course, he wrote for Sonic Boom as well. That's a whole different thing. He just gets it.
He really does.
Every time.
Like, even though this was after he had already taken over on the main series, it's just cool seeing, that even in these early days, Ian still just gets it, like you said, like right from the jump.
And he even knows pro wrestling, so I appreciate that.
Well, sports fans, I think that wraps up another episode of The Hill is Always Greener. Sure had a lot of fun revisiting these comics. I feel like I've repeated myself so many times at this point, but with all Archie Sonic comics, go get them, go read them however you can, especially these. These were a lot of fun. You can find us around social media. You can follow the show as a whole on Twitter at Sonic F Series, as well as our YouTube channel. I'm Game Buddy. You can find me around the internet under that name, sometimes with a 123 at the end. And on Twitter at Great Job Jeremy. That's GR and the number 8.
And you can find me all over the internet at Falero. That's FAULERRO.
You can find me on the socials at Rock the Jake, and you can find me on Twitch as Mr. Rock the Jake.
Jake, is there something wrong? You didn't say you loved that jingle. I was very upset.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Hold on. You know what? My mind blanked for a second, but let me assure you, Mr. Falero, that's FAULERRO. I love that jingle.
Okay, thank you.
How about that?
Lovely.
And you can find me on Twitter at Cyberlink420.
CYBERLINK. That's Cyberlink420.
Cyberlink420, dude.
Off the top of the dome.
I'm leaving.
Door slam sound effect.
GAMEBUDDNY. It's Game Buddy.
Was that an and Y or NY? That was an extra letter. Okay, I got you.
Game Buddy.
As always, a very special thanks to Amy Waters for the use of our theme song, which is from her album Gotta Go Slow. You can check out more of her work on YouTube and Bandcamp. And as always, remember to like, subscribe, review, share the show on YouTube, your podcatcher of choice, because believe it or not, those metrics actually help spread the show out there. So thanks again.
Imagine it like watering a seed. If you give a good review, you're watering the podcast and you help it grow and flourish.
Just douse us in water, please.
And a very special thanks to our friend Liv Brown for reprising their role as Bokkun for us today.
On the next episode of The Hill is Always Greener, we are going to close out the month of June, Sonic's birthday month, if you didn't know, with a discussion of Sonic the Hedgehog, parentheses, 1991. I guess we kind of have to use that now.
Yeah,
I can't believe we're finally going to talk about Sonic 91. We've been talking about that for ages.
Yeah, as it is largely known across the internet, Sonic 91. Because there is a true Sonic the Hedgehog, and we're not discussing it next time. But
I mean, I have seen Sonic 91 used on some cheesy merchandise, like a T-shirt with some stock art that says "Runnin' since 1991."
But what we're actually going to be covering is, in fact, the first Sonic game on the original Mega Drive / Master System version, and this is like the rocky transition from not being a game to being a game of Sonic the Hedgehog, because it was it's like the early days, the stumbling blocks of Sonic, where they weren't sure what they were doing right off, but nevertheless, Sonic hit us like real hard. Like, he did a big spin attack into the public consciousness, and it started right here with all warts and all of this game. I'm excited to look back on it.
And the world has never recovered.
No, it's true.
Like, it's been a while since I've played the first game from start to finish, so I'm interested to see, if my opinions have changed since the last time, like 5 or 6 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, we'll get into all the nitty-gritty of that original debut of Sonic on his birthday month. But until then, I'm Game Buddy.
I'm Valero.
I'm Rock the Jake.
And I'm Cyberlink, and, well, I never learned anything about manners, and I've been eating my whole life.
This has been The Hill is Always Greener, folks, and we'll see you on the other side.
Oh, yeah.
Wrestling.
Yep.